Okay. Welcome back to Outside the Cinema, your weekly source for cult movie discussions. We are your hosts, Bill and Chris, and this is the show. And I did put a show out last week.
Yeah.
I didn't put it up on the Patreon because it was a pieced together show, and I actually got a couple messages from people that were like, I hope you guys are all right.
Oh, that's nice.
And I'm like, yeah, we're fine. I say, yeah, but I didn't respond because I just got the messages this morning. And
So you can tell them now. There you go.
yes. Yeah, I can. I mean, yeah, we're fine.
That's nice.
Busy.
That is nice, though.
Busy.
Yeah.
What's that click-a-lackling? What are you playing with?
The most
okay.
important droid in The Mandalorian. R5-D4. Yes. Yes, he's finally a fucking hero like he should be.
I'll believe you.
I was happy to see him come back.
I haven't even watched any of the new episodes yet.
The season was pretty good. It's like a transitional season. Like everything's gearing up for whatever's coming next. So it's nice. It's nice to see the way it's going.
You know, it's funny because I read a thing the other day about how Pedro's not in the suit most of the time.
Yeah.
And it really fucking bothered me.
I don't care. I knew from the beginning it was him and two other stuntmen. And I thought, that's fucking brilliant. That's how you make a goddamn Judge Dredd show. You know, none of the judges in the background matter because they're all wearing helmets. Fuck, we could all take turns being in the background.
Right. But either way.
It's a brilliant idea.
It bothered me, though, to know that, like, it's not, you know, like...
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't bother me, like, a lot, but I was just kind of like, oh, it's not even him.
Yeah. But the show is actually good enough that I don't care. Like, here's an example. Have you watched Ted Lasso?
No.
Okay. Anyway, so this doesn't matter. Ted Lasso is actually a really good show. I'm not gonna suck its dick or anything, but it's so good that I'm not gonna complain about the glaringly, obviously bad green screening that was done, mostly in the season or series finale, because we don't know if they're gonna make more. And throughout this last season, but the show and the characters are so well done that I'm like, oh, that's bad green screen. I don't give a shit. What are they saying? Unlike bad CG in a horror movie or something where we're like, fuck these guys. So, yeah, we always used to say, too, if sound quality is very, very important, but if you have a compelling podcast, people will listen. Just get your sound better.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, on the show this week, something we don't normally do. I think we've done it a few times over the years. I've been so fucking busy the last couple weeks between work, coaching baseball, and then just other life things going on. Like, it's just like no time for anything. I mean, we didn't like. I realized last weekend, like Saturday, or this past weekend, I'm like, there's no way I can do Monday, so we're recording a day later than we normally do. Mostly just because I'm like, I need a day to catch up on things, and get a good night's sleep. And like last week, I pieced together a show because it was the holiday weekend, and we were in a baseball tournament all weekend in Lowell, so it was like not crazy far away, but just far enough away that it was like getting to it, you know?
Right.
So we're doing on the show this week. We're doing two films that are actually both outside of the normal 10-year window, but also a remake of an original, and we're covering the original and the remake. And this is a mind-boggling. Why did they remake this already type thing? And we'll get into it. But we are doing Last Shift.
Yeah, from 2014, not 13. Ish. I'm looking to see if it maybe hit a festival.
Festivals or something.
No, October 25th at Fright Fest in 2014.
All right.
Huh.
And the remake, Malum, which is currently out. So we'll be doing that. We'll give each their review and then kind of talk about them together. It's going to be impossible to not talk about them together because it's a remake of a film that was made not even 10 years ago.
Right. And I think we should say right at the beginning that in order to really talk about it and the differences and the similarities, we're probably going to ruin the whole fucking thing. So watch it before you listen to this. Seriously, I think Last Shift is worth a watch before you hear the review. Not giving anything away, but I did pick this week.
Yes. Well, Chris was basically like, I can kind of run gambit on this if you need to. And I'm like, yes, please. That'll be very much appreciated. I just finished watching Malum about 15 minutes before we went on the air today. Okay. So just trying to get it all done. But I do have an announcement to make here for OTC adjacent / related stuff. I know I've been kind of talking about it a little bit over the last few weeks, and I said that I would have a Woodsman announcement coming up, and I can actually make that today. So the Woodsman, we have signed a distribution deal with Dark Matters, which is actually run by an OTC fan, Carl, who does a lot of our listings and stuff. Does a YouTube distribution channel of horror shorts.
Oh, nice.
And so we have signed on with him, and starting on July 11th at 7 p.m., The Woodsman will be available to watch for free on YouTube.
On what channel again?
Dark Matters. At Dark Matters Films is the channel.
Dark Matters. All right.
He's got some good horror shorts on there, and what he's I really love what he's trying to do.
Well, I subscribed because I didn't know about this beforehand.
They're still fairly new. I mean, they've been around for a little while now, but they're still fairly new. But they're specializing in distributing horror shorts because there's really, once you get done with a festival run for a horror short, which is why you see the same horror shorts playing festivals for years, which I hate. I can't stand that. More power to the filmmakers that can continue to shop their films to film festivals year after year. I mean, but I'm a big one for like once you do your festival run and it's done, and I want to move on to something else. I'm not interested in continuing to play. Like every now I'll get like an offer from somebody every now and then to show film freaks at a convention or a festival, and I'm like, nah, I'm like it's over, it's done with. Here's some other stuff that we're working on. If we want to talk about that, great. I just don't like continuing to do that. I just feel like artistically, I'm like, I don't want to keep talking about something that I'm over and done with. Like, I mean, I want to talk about it, but like, not talk about it like it's the current thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like musicians are like that too. It's like musicians don't want to, a lot of times when they've got new stuff out, they don't want to talk about their old stuff. So
that's got to be tough.
So it's going to be available.
If everybody loves the old stuff, they're going to want to talk about it.
For sure. And we were lucky that and Film Freaks did really well for us. And people, I could talk to people all the time about it, and I love talking about it. But I'm like, we got other stuff out there. So The Woodsman, in case for some reason you guys have been living under a rock for the last year, don't know, it is a horror short written and directed by Kyle Kuchta, who obviously is the other half of OTC Industries. I filmed it, most of it. I filmed half of it. And then I also produced it. So
nice.
So it's out under the OTC Industries banner. It will be available. We're going to do an online premiere. Mark your calendars. July 11th at 7 p.m. There will be a filmmaker Q&A afterwards. So you'll be able to watch it live with us, with Kyle and I, and anyone else that wants to come in. Well, obviously, it's still over a month away, but we'll still make sure to promote it. But supporting independent horror is the best way to get better and more independent horror made.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Join our Patreon, patreon.com/outside the cinema, if you would like to support the show and help keep the show on the air so that we can keep making shows.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot to it. Is there anything else? I thought there was something else I needed to talk about here at the top of the show, but I don't remember offhand now.
Not that I know.
I guess it's no, I guess it's. I mean, everything is crazy right now. All right, so let's just let's get into Last Shift here. I think there's a. We'll find out if there's a trailer. Help if I spell it right. Last Shift. See, now I see like 3 different dates for it. Like one's like 2013, one says 2012, one says 2015.
Huh.
So, all right. So Last Shift is a low, I shouldn't say a low budget horror movie, but a lower budget horror movie released around, we'll say 2014, since that's the premiere date that you're able to find. I'm talking about these together is going to be kind of interesting, but I will start off by saying that, Last Shift was not some like hole in the wall film that didn't get attention. It was released by Magnolia and Magnet Releasing. It's on virtually every streaming service that you can find for free. Yeah. It is readily available, and it was very well reviewed, and a lot of people really liked it, which I'm assuming is why it got such a wide release digitally. So here's a trailer for it. Maybe. Yes. No commercial to interrupt.
Do we really have to do this now? I'm literally about to start my first shifts. Anybody in here?
You are the lucky rookie to work the very last shift in this mausoleum. All 911 calls have been rerouted to the new station, so it should be quiet.
Sanford Police Department.
Help me. I'm trapped. I think they might all be dead. Do you want to get out of here alive?
I am a dancing flame. I'll destroy your homes. The ones that lie within your heart. The ones you prayed for.
There's so much blood splashing around in there.
She fell to her knees and bowed to the king. That's what Payman means. It was destined. The king of hell.
I'm safe in the arms of my master, my king.
I'm not ashamed of what I do. I like you. I'm gonna come back for you and all you love. Mark my words.
All right. Last Shift, directed by Anthony DeBlasi, who was an Emerson guy.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if he's from Boston, but he graduated from Emerson, which is interesting. Starring Juliana Harkavy, Joshua Michael, Hank Stone, and Jayla Rose, who we've met, actually. He was at Rock and Shock a couple times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So also written by Anthony DeBlasi. Juliana Harkavy is probably best known as Dinah Drake, the second Black Canary from the Arrow TV series.
That's right. Yeah.
Quite good in that too. She's really good. She's really good in that. She has a really good job in this too. So, Last Shift is basically the story of a rookie cop. It's her first shift on the job. It's not really clear if it's her first like police thing or she transferred in and it's her first shift with a new precinct. But either way, they very much illustrate that she's very green. And she's working the final shift at the closing of an outdated police station.
Yeah.
And that's really, the interesting thing, and I do want to talk about this one first and then not really say anything about the remake until we get to it if we can.
Yeah. No.
So we're dropped right in. She's in her cruiser. She's on the phone with her mom, fighting with her mom about going in and doing this job at this at this station, at this precinct. We know only information that we're really given is that something to do with her father, something to do with her mother not wanting her to be there because of something that happened with the father in the station, but we're not really given any information up front.
Right.
She's brought in, and the sergeant that's there basically, dumb rookie. She's a dumb, and treats her like a dumb rookie.
Oh, he's weird from the start. She goes into this completely empty police station. Like computers are gone, files, everything. There's some paper on the floor. And you hear a guy that sounds like he's beating the shit out of something in the locker room. And she calls out to him, and his first question is, "How long have you been there?" Which is interesting. And then the next thing he says is, "Turn around," and she turns around and starts to walk away because fuck that guy. And he yells, "Stop." And he's very aggressive in his tone and not exactly condescending, but very like, "Don't fuck with me. This is it. A, B, C, done." So gives her the rules. Don't go into holding. All the calls, like you heard on the trailer, all the calls have been rerouted. You might get some hop-ons. You're going to get hop-ons. So he leaves. That's Officer Cohen. He leaves, and she burps a little bit and then moves on and sits down. And she has her new her police handbook. And it's interesting when she starts to stress a little bit in a place where, like when you're facing supernatural things, somebody would say, "Our Father," the Lord's Prayer there. She starts reciting passages from the police handbook, which I thought was neat because it's going to focus her on the job. And that also does so much to remind us at every second that she's brand new. We're reminded of that a lot, which I thought was good, because if she starts to be competent, then you're going to think, well, where was she before this? So then the homeless guy shows up, and that's the dude you were talking about at Rock and Shock. He was the guy in Saw that had the ring through his jaw, right?
Yep.
He shows up as like a scary guy in a lot of stuff. So he's a homeless guy, and he pees in the lobby. She arrests him, puts him in a cell. He's found later in the records room, searching for stuff. But none of this comes together until later, because now the haunting stuff like starts to ramp up a little bit. She gets the phone calls from the girl that says that she can hear pigs. They're near a farm and she's going to die. And so she talks to the station, and then eventually it gets down to the point where they say, "She's probably calling you directly because everything works." We know everything works.
Yeah. And she's in. So one of the things that we didn't mention is, so they're setting her up, and they're like, "Listen, you shouldn't really have anybody coming through here." He shows her the records room and is like, "This stuff, there's going to be a crew that's going to come in, a hazardous waste crew that's going to come in to dispose of all of this old evidence." It's like, bloody shoes, gloves, like.
But he's got to
all
fuck
that
with her
stuff. So
first.
Right. He does the every criminal in the city is coming for this tonight, and you're the only one that can stop him.
Yeah, because that's what the police would do, right?
Right. But so we know that there's going to be a crew coming at some point. That crew actually calls her and is like, "Hey, listen, this is so-and-so from the disposal crew.
Yeah.
Just so you know, the scene that we're on now is crazy. We're running late. We're not going to be there maybe 3-4 o'clock in the morning."
Yeah. And the only issue I have with the whole movie is it feels like the two sides of the phone conversations between Officer Lauren and the cleaner guy. It sounds like they were recorded at different times with a different intention, because he's a little bit terse with her and she's like, "Okay, Joe, fine, thanks." And then it's the opposite the next time. It's almost like they gave him the wrong emotional instruction for each scene. But that's it. That's the only weird thing. But then again, it could be
I
Jessica.
didn't even catch that.
Well, I've watched this like 12
because
times.
the second time she calls, she's like, "Hey, when are you going to get here?" And he's like, "Listen, I told you we're running late."
Yeah. That's not there. She's not very patient with them.
No. And things haven't even gotten that crazy yet, because what is really, really well done in this movie is its sense of atmosphere and the timing and the way everything plays itself out.
Yeah.
It runs just under 90 minutes. It's like an hour and 27 minutes or something like that. But we're not given anything right away.
No.
And we get a lot of sounds in the distance.
Yeah. Pipes, they
you know,
show the pipes making noise, definitely. So there's that old chestnut of, oh, haunted house must be the bad pipes. So they do a good job of not throwing the cliches in your face and then subverting them, but they definitely do it. And it's I like how it's like a subconscious thing.
Right. So we learn things about her. We learn that her father worked at the station. We learn that the father was one of the people that had brought in these crazy cult, like Manson. They even say it, Manson-esque cult members of this guy named what's his name? Payola?
John Michael Payman. And this was before Hereditary. And then Hereditary came out, and Payman, same, essentially. And since that one was a bigger movie, I think that's why they changed his name to Malum in the second. But that's all I'll say about that.
Maybe.
So,
yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I like that. Pick an obscure folklore god and go with it.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So we start to learn a little bit about the story. There's, this cult had kidnapped these girls and it was trying to kill these girls, and her dad was part of the cops that came in to take him out. And as we learn a little bit at a time, we learn that they brought him and a bunch of the followers to the station.
Right. When the story was they all died at the farm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because what ended up happening at the station was they had brought them back to the station. They all ended up killing themselves at the station.
Yeah. Ritualistically,
which is definitely something that the police would not want out.
No.
So I like that they were like, oh no, they were killed on the farm.
Yep.
So where are we going from
Well,
there?
it's a little bit, it ramps up a little bit from there. The best early scare I thought was in the locker room when she finds the picture of her and her dad, and she sits there and reminisces for a minute and then sticks it back where she finds it, which I thought was interesting. But when she turns, every locker door is open, and I give this movie credit for not hitting us with a jump scare chord at the time. It was just that low kind of sub below music is usually, and it was just like the music gave you the idea of, yeah, we're getting started. All right, let me stretch.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that was really good. And then other things start happening, like the writing on the ceiling and stuff moving. More phone calls happen. And then she puts the man into holding. He freaks the fuck out, and that's when she gets the first good look of the Jacob's Ladder style hanging cult members in that holding cell, which she actually got locked inside of. But did she? Because clearly these ghosts are really good at creating hallucinations or altering reality. You see that from the very beginning. So
right. I mean, it's masterfully played really from the beginning of it in terms of like what's real, what's not real. Is she crazy? Right. Is there legitimately something supernatural happening? Yeah. What is like they do a really good job of keeping you questioning what's real, what's not.
Yeah.
It's obviously real to her, but is it, if somebody else was there, would they be seeing, like, they do a really good job at that.
Right. And the good thing about this is you find out pretty much you find out exactly what went on in the real world by the end. And there's just so much that I could keep saying to give stuff away. One of my favorite parts of this is so understated. She's got Monica Young on the phone. She finally gets her full name, and Monica starts freaking out. She's like, I'm going to die. And you see a change in Officer Lauren where she's like, you're not going to die. And then there's like a beat or two, and she says, Monica, is there anything around you can use as a weapon? And she says it like she's terrified for her. Right. And it was so... That was because it's more of a real life situation. It is a real life situation. That seemed scarier to me than all the ghost stuff. But there were a bunch of good jump scares with this. Really smart, well done. And there's some interactions that she has with things happening in the police station. One of them literally blew my mind. And it plays back to how someone else earlier in the film was behaving, which I thought was really brilliant. I don't know how much more we can talk about this without really
we kind
ruining
of gave a spoiler warning before we even started. So,
Yeah.
at this point,
Okay.
if you're still listening and you think it, you should watch this.
All right,
This-
yeah.
I will say, just like talking about just me, you should watch Last Shift.
Yeah.
So if you haven't and you don't want anything spoiled from you, stop, come back.
Yeah. All right. So we'll get
Okay,
into
go.
spoilery stuff then here.
Yep, go for it.
I think that what's his name? The homeless man's name was Patrick Black in the film, and that's Jay LaRose. I think he was one of the final surviving members of the Paymon family, and he was looking for evidence or
I think so, too,
something.
Yeah. Well, and there's you get a lot of misdirections. You know, when she's talking to the other police station, they're like, "Hey, listen,
Yeah.
I shouldn't tell you this, but there was a bunch of members of his cult that got away.
Yeah.
They're under surveillance, but trust me, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
So just,
Yeah.
some weird shit's going on in there. Keep your head on a swivel."
Right. He starts off by saying it wasn't rusty pipes that got us out of there. Like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
And
then as the story unfolds,
Yeah.
where they talk about how they killed themselves in the station, and like you're like, oh, okay, so there's a lot more to this other than this lady's just like having a mental breakdown because she's in the police station that her father died.
Oh
in or
yeah, no,
whatever.
because the boss there said in the trailer, "I'm gonna come back for you and all that you love." You can count on that. And it's like it is so nonchalant, just like, yeah, I'll get you. Run,
Don't
go
worry.
ahead. Can't hide, fucker. But it's like that. It's that casual, like confidence in your own power. And that guy was really good at it. It was Joshua Mikel, Mikel. He did a really good job as him, I thought.
he didn't have to do too much.
No,
and
but-
he wasn't in it very much.
But
so
he's
it
a
was super
little
effective.
guy, and he looked scary as hell. The way he spoke really was, he was a great cult leader, because I don't imagine cult leaders to be like huge domineering people. I figure
No, definitely
they're
not.
always really good speakers, orators, and convincing people. So what surprised you the most in this?
Honestly, the effectiveness in its pacing,
Yeah.
and also just its the whole vibe that it's giving off, because they definitely do this really, really good job of giving this claustrophobic feel in this small station without ever really having to open it up.
Yeah.
And that's something that's gonna come back later on, I promise.
What's great about it is it was a real police station. The events that got the police out of that station weren't real, but the fact that they moved to a new one in Sanford, Florida, is a real story. They filmed in the old police station, which is brilliant.
super effective?
Oh yeah. Yeah, all your
Super
sets are ready to go. I mean, you have years of set decoration already done.
And it's also not so run down that it looks like it's been abandoned for years.
Yeah.
Like it's still actually really in good shape.
It's-
like there's
it's-
not a lot
yeah.
of like
Yeah.
there's like papers like on the ground and like some stuff tipped over and like wiring pulled out or whatever, but like
Yeah.
it's not like it's rotting away.
No,
like
it's-
it looks like they just moved.
It's well used. It's like the doors have that black spot on it from where everybody pushes it open or whatever. And, a little bit of paint, some patching, and some air fresheners, and it'll all be fine.
Yeah. So as things kind of ramp up in this, it gets to a point where like you're obviously questioning everything, and there's some really effective parts where like you think something's happening, like when the police officer shows up and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I knew your dad and such and such."
Yep.
And then you realize as he's walking out, he's got a giant hole in the back of his head.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh fuck!" Like that guy's not even there.
Yeah.
So like all those little things as it ramps up, you see the followers a little bit more, the creepy singing, like, but it never goes too far. Everything is still fairly reserved, and small and quiet, and it's so effective.
Yeah.
So effective in the way it's being presented to you.
Yeah, when Officer Price leaves after a really nice, disarming conversation with a little bit of comedy, a little bit of flirting, and it's like you forgot what movie you were watching. And he turns around, and it's like, holy shit. But then he walks out the door past a window next to the desk in the hallway, and you keep hearing his footsteps, and he's not there anymore. He just disappeared, and that was great. The whole thing with Officer Price, I think, was brilliant storytelling.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
And he was good. His name is Matt Damon. I thought it was Damon, but he was really good. And I believed he looked like a young cop. Like, how some people just don't fit really in the role. He was good. Even the prostitute was good. Natalie Victoria as Marigold.
Yep. Yeah, she just kind of randomly shows up outside to give you some information dump.
Yeah.
Which was good because you needed it because they weren't giving you a whole heck of a lot.
Right. But I mean, that's how you should get your information. Somebody's going to be like, "Hey, did you hear what happened here?" No, that's an exposition dump that's going to happen. I mean, it happens in real life. That's what school is.
Yeah. Yeah. So as it kind of comes to its climax, they ramp it up a little bit more, but again, it doesn't get too crazy. The effects are kept pretty simple. There's not too much. You're not seeing too much, and it's, when it comes down to the way that it comes down, I think it's an incredibly effective close to the film.
Yeah.
Without, saying it flat out. Like, it was definitely like I kind of actually expected that to happen. But I was actually really pleased that that's what happened because I'm like, logically, with the story that they're telling you, I'm like, this is exactly what should happen.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't upset. I mean, I was upset with the ending, but that was from upset for the character or characters.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
That's what I was upset about. I don't watch ghost movies over and over and over a lot, but for some reason, Juliana she's absolutely fantastic in this role. She just, I don't know what it is about her, but I was describing the movie to my wife, and I said, the thing about this version of Jessica Lauren, the officer, is that she's exactly like Price mentioned and Marigold. They both pointed out that they're fresh, they're not jaded. They have a positive outlook on things. They feel like they can make a difference. And she exudes all of that, like this naive newbie innocence. And I think that really, really works to the advantage of the film because she's unfamiliar with her setting and it just goes downhill from there.
Yeah. This is incredibly well done. This is super effective. Music, the way it's shot, the cinematography, the feel, the dialogue, the limited special effects that they use. It's very, very well done. Very well done.
Yeah.
Super effective. One of the creepier movies I've seen. I think I'm pretty sure I had watched this when it first came out, but for whatever reason, I didn't remember it very much. And rewatching it, I was like, this is very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's got to.
We'll grade them together.
Hold on one second.
Sure.
Last Shift on Rotten Tomatoes, critic-wise, has 9 reviews, which is fine. It wasn't a huge release. Guess what it's got for a rating on out of those 9 critics?
Oh God, I don't know. What's the rating system over there?
It's
again?
just a percentage, 1 to 100.
Oh, 94?
100.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The audience score is 51, but audiences suck. So
Audiences are stupid.
it's like, what audience was it? Was it a bunch of 14-year-olds in skimpy outfits with no supervision? Because I know what happened there.
They forgot to watch the movie.
I just chaperoned the high school's band trip to Canopy Lake Park on Friday. I walked
Gross.
12.
Why did you do that?
12 miles I walked, by the way, which is the phone was like, fuck, are you okay? I did that
You
because
were like, no, I'm not.
I did that because I wanted a free day at Canopy Lake Park. But then it was 51 degrees and drizzly all fucking day.
Gross.
I couldn't even get a Dole Whip because the fucking water park was closed. But it was fun. They had fun.
Good.
Yeah. Nova's got a girlfriend. So everything's
Excellent.
Everything's really, yeah, she's a good kid. So
Love it. Love it.
yeah.
Okay, so so we're gonna grade them together. We're gonna move on to Malum, which is the 2023 remake of Last Shift. I do have a trailer for it.
Are we grading them all at the end? Is that what you said?
We're gonna grade it together. Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
All right. So here's the trailer. For some reason, it's quiet. Why is it quiet? Where's the volume?
It's weird it worked for the other one.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
While you play that trailer, I'm gonna grab a drink real quick.
Fair enough. Okay, so for some reason, sometimes YouTube will automatically mute the audio. I don't know why, but here it is. Sorry, guys.
I can see the fear in your eyes. You saw something you can't explain.
This way, rookie.
Call's been rerouted to the new station, so it should be quiet. If there's an emergency, the station's number's on the desk.
Sure, I'll be fine.
Hello?
Told us Captain Lauren's daughter would be joining the department.
Yes, sir. Just want to work where my father worked, even if it's for one night.
He was a hero. Until he wasn't, you know?
Lanford Police Department.
You don't know what happened. But your father was no saint.
Your daddy started something very important.
Tonight we're gonna finish it.
The Temple Baron will bring forth the low god, and I will be Redeemer. Infinite Malum.
I can't do this anymore. Just get me out.
We pray in the temple of the low god.
Okay. Malum 2024, also written and directed by Anthony DiBlasi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I need to know how this film was made by the same guy that made the original one. And then I need to know why he felt he needed to do a bigger, better version of an already excellent film. Because straight up, this film sucks.
If this was on its own, I might have liked it.
Okay, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. But
yeah,
we gotta compare them.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I was just saying and that's one thing. If you've never watched Last Shift, go ahead, watch this. It's fine. Then watch the good one. But yeah, I got you.
I just right from the get go, it's the same story for the most part.
There are huge changes in the beginning.
Yes. And what I read was he wanted to go and remake this because he felt as though the budget really held him back
Fair.
in the original, and that he now had the expertise and the ability to make a bigger, better version of this.
That's okay. Yeah, good. You know, like remaking The Vanishing or whatever.
Evil Dead,
Yeah.
whatever. Like,
It's not unheard of.
It's not unheard of, but it very rarely works because I feel that when a filmmaker tries to improve on what they've already done, it so rarely comes across better. And I think we can kind of look at this the same way where bands. Okay, let's use the band U2, for example.
Okay.
A lot of their classic music is, you know, for all intents and purposes, some of the best, you know, rock records of all time.
Like pop
Joshua
rock
Tree.
kind of stuff. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, Joshua Tree, October, Boy, those records.
Yeah, they've
are
earned a place.
Unforgettable, untouchable.
Yeah.
You go and you listen to those now, and they still are great to listen to. They still feel fresh. They still feel really strong. The songwriting's unbelievable. This past year, they put out like a 3-record set of them redoing and reworking their early songs, and there is not one version of any of the 3 albums that, in my opinion, is any better or even close to the level of the original recordings. And that's what I feel like this is like too. Because Last Shift is a masterclass in dread and like feel.
Yeah.
And its jump scares feel good. This is no soul. Let's put money into some special effects. Let's open up a story that basically ruins what you get in the first story, because one of the best things about Last Shift was that you weren't given the information until you needed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
This one, the whole fucking film opens for the first 15 minutes with the backstory.
Yeah. And it's such a bad story choice.
It's bad.
So,
real bad.
So what happens is
Sorry.
No. I think it's good to instead of just, you know, beating around the bush. They bring the Malum or whatever we want to call them. We'll call them the Malum family, since the Payman family will be the first movie.
Yeah, I mean, and the idea that they changed the name, they didn't need to.
No, but if
I
they
guess-
wanted to, if they didn't want to look like they were copying other stuff, because Paimon has been a character in like a game that my kids play, and like the name is now all over the place. So
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So they bring them back. They do the interrogation. But the problem that initially that I had, that clearly you had, is that the father's a bad guy. He was possessed by the spirit of the low god, and he executed the entire police station and then himself, which instantly puts her at a disadvantage. And then there's all this other stuff, like this Jessica Lauren is a fucking dick.
Yeah, she sucks.
The mother is an alcoholic, and her whole thing felt so fucking forced into this that once it's in, it was so difficult to wedge that character part into the movie. They couldn't get it out afterwards. Who gives a shit if the mother's a piece of shit?
Yeah, we don't even in the original. We don't even meet the mother.
You don't fucking
even
need
meet
her. You don't need her. I was happy.
We also didn't meet the father in the original one either, except for like one scene where there was an apparition of him.
Yeah, and some voice stuff. The voice stuff with the father in the first one was amazing. But in this, the mother's an asshole. The father killed everyone. All the cops hate her. That's not a hero I would I root for. I don't care about any of these except maybe the woman that played Marigold, because holy shit, she was pretty good in the first one. But the look of terror on this woman's face and the freak out she has, whew. She's the best actor in the whole movie. She did a great job. fear is really difficult to get across without, being a scream queen or something like that. And she played it with her eyes so well.
But even her role is so different in this.
Yes.
That
everything is done angrily.
Yeah, and the thing is there's no need for it.
Right, right.
I think that's the part that frustrated me the most was now you're just playing with house money. You got money and you're going to fucking use it.
Yeah, because go ahead.
I was just but you're going to use it and you're making too much effort and ruining the things that worked so well in the original.
Yeah. 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 And in the first one, Lauren opens the back door and Marigold's out there having a smoke. And she's dressed like maybe a prostitute or somebody that, doesn't have taste and went out clubbing in inappropriate outfits. Whatever, right? But she's friendly. She's nice. She's not a ghost. And she and Lauren happens across her organically, and it feels okay. She's at the back of the station smoking because she feels safe there. Perfect. Yep. Absolutely perfect. This Marigold,
and it makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes sense that she could just happen to be there.
Yeah, and it makes sense that she was arrested that night too. Prostitution. Which is fine. But that will get you arrested in Sanford, Florida in 2015. So,
but in Langford, California, or Langford, wherever,
you just throw.
Because we're also not given a clear sense of where this is either,
right?
And it's really frustrating because I'm sorry, I'll let you get back to it in 1 sec. But so as she's driving to the station, first we meet her. In the first one, we meet Jessica in the car outside the station,
right?
In this one, we meet her at home and she's getting ready and she's getting dressed. And then she's driving to the station, but she has to drive by the new police station, which looks like it's in fucking downtown Compton or something where there's crime everywhere and everything's going crazy.
It does. It looks like it's Gotham City courthouse steps.
Yeah, it's right in but then the old station is in the suburbs somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought of something else while you were saying that, and I will probably remember it. But this Marigold is thrown out of a car and then brought in to be fixed up. And that's just an angrier way to introduce the character. There was nothing wrong with her being a conscious, self-aware person that can keep herself out of trouble because she's smart into I'm just a dumb hooker.
Right.
And that was totally unnecessary too. I was happy
and
to
then
see.
Why is she possessed? Why is she involved in it?
Because she was there that night, I guess.
Sure. That's the only. But it is a perfect example of fucking with the things that you don't need to mess with.
Yeah. Some things I did like. I like the fact that the symbol is low key everywhere around the town, because that really shows you the reach that they have, the silent reach of who's a member and who's not. That was
nice.
nice.
I also have a problem with that.
Yeah.
That he apparently had this huge cult of thousands of followers.
Oh, I don't know if it was thousands, but yeah.
No, but somebody says something about they're everywhere.
Oh yeah, but I take that as it depends who's telling it and what is the point they're trying to get across, right? That kind of stuff.
I guess
could be lies. Who knows? There's a huge wasted opportunity in this movie. Now, as someone with is UPS there?
Somebody's here.
So a couple things with the way I watch movies and the way my brain processes stuff. The elevator by her desk, it dings once. And I thought, what a horrific door to have next to you all night long. Because any fucking thing could come out of there, right? A fucking alligator, crocodile, leopard, rapist, whatever. And they didn't use that at all.
Nope. They had it ding once and then never revisited it.
No, and that's the scariest part. You can't lock an elevator from opening up on your floor. That was pretty scary. That was pretty. It also totally removes the cleaning guys are coming at 4 part of the whole
Yeah,
thing.
and taking that out of it. I mean, once they take that out of it, that they're going to have to change the ending of the film.
Right.
So like, once that part was, I'm like, they didn't mention the cleaners.
Yeah.
And there was nothing about the evidence room.
Right.
And then I came to realize, I'm like, oh, they're just taking that story beat out of it.
Mm.
And then in my head, I'm like, but that's the whole arc and the whole crux. I'm like, that completely takes out the whole final act of the film.
Yeah, it gives the ghosts a time frame to work with.
Right.
And that sounds stupid, but they really do need to do it before other people show up. So, hence the first movie. Yeah. When somebody like myself, who I'll find out if I have ADHD later in this month when I get evaluated, but all the signs are there. So when you reuse a shot and you flip it, I'm going to notice every fucking time. And then I'm going to pause it. And then I'm going to call my kids in and say, guy spent all this money on this fucking movie, and look, he flipped this shot. It says toss, not stop. Fucking come on. And it was one of the more like obvious streets. It's like that scene in Return of the Jedi where they flash over to Fett and he was facing the wrong way.
Yep.
So they flipped an asymmetrical character. Like, that's a good fucking idea. So that dropped it a little bit. It's like, come on, you couldn't shoot one more fucking street shot? Really?
Apparently not. Like, there's so many decisions made in this one that it does not make any sense to me. Like, that whole, like, it's house money and I'm going to make this movie so much more than the original. And that whole, like, you didn't have to fuck with it.
It's almost like
the 10 million or whatever it was they gave you and made a different movie.
It's almost like they did a Phantom Menace where he's like, all right, I have enough money to do everything I want. And nobody said, hey, but wait, what about the plot?
Yeah. So one of the other biggest differences between the original and this one is everything is like real world creepy cult in the other one for the most part.
Yeah.
Right? There's a few little things, but this one is all fucking demons and fucking ghosts and fucking false realities and like it's so much. And he just expands on the story in these ways that just like don't make any sense. And don't need to be expanded.
No,
and it's just like,
exactly that. Yeah, we don't need more of the family. We don't need to see these girls being led to their deaths. It's horrific when I imagine it. Put
it's
more
scarier
into
when you don't see it.
Yeah, put more into scaring your character. Put more time into that. What about the phone calls from Monica?
Oh yeah, they completely took the Monica part out of it too.
Well, they cut it in half. They skipped the whole subterfuge of an escaped girl and went straight to the mocking cult members.
Yep.
And that ramps up your ghost story too fast. I think this ramped up too fast. And then the only thing it could do was just hit a wall at the end. And that's what it did. And I like a good ghost story with a kind of ambiguous ending. I've never had experience, and I should say it this way because it's the only fair way, I think. I've never had experience where a movie had, to me personally, a better but lesser defined story closure, and then have it followed up with a remake where it's absolutely the dot at the end of the book, the period at the end of the last sentence, cover closed. I didn't like the way it ended.
I hated the ending in the second one.
I'm all for in the first one when we see John Payman and he's got the cuts in his face and the filed teeth and stuff. Like, that's all still technically possible, but he didn't look like that. But that's the ghost's reality.
Right.
In this, reality is reality. For the most part. There's not a whole lot of ghost interference. And I just think that this Officer Lauren was just, I don't know, let's say like a Disney live action remake version. Like, yeah, I recognize parts of that character, but that's not the same.
It's weird because he goes so hard on opening up all the other details and shoving them down your throat, but doesn't actually give you the time to understand where the Jessica Lauren character is coming from.
Right.
Like, you kind of talked about it a little bit earlier when you were like, all the cops hate her, nobody wants her there. And in your head, you're like, well, she wouldn't be allowed to be there. They wouldn't put her there. They would not put the daughter of the cop that killed 6 police officers with a shotgun in that specific station. They would just be like, no. If you want to be a police officer, you got to go to somewhere else in the country.
Oh, well, shit. Do you think she'd even make it into the academy after her father did that? The mental tests they must put them through.
Well, it's only supposed to be a year later, whereas in the original, it seems like it's an extended amount of time. Well, no, I guess it was a year in that one, too. But, like, she would already be in, like, the academy at that point. You don't, like, it takes more than a year to go through the police academy and then get your own shift or whatever. I would think, I don't know for sure. Like, I don't know for sure. But, like, they would not allow her to be there. Like, there's no way. It's too soon. It's a year later.
How long does it take to become a police officer in California? The whole process of becoming a police officer can take anywhere from 6
weeks.
6 to 12 months, depending on how you perform in general scheduling issues. So it is entirely possible that she, the day her father died, signed up to the academy, went through 6 weeks, did her ride-alongs, did all her whatever stuff you do once you get out, and this is literally her first. It is possible,
although
highly unlikely. Yes. Yes.
But I mean, they would not allow her to be there. They would
not
allow her to be
alone,
there.
I wouldn't think.
No, they wouldn't allow her to be. They would be, hey, the history with your family, it is too soon.
Yeah.
It is too painful for everyone. You can't. Sorry. You can go. We can find you someplace else.
Yeah. Yeah. Go to Santa Cruz. Go there. That's fine right now. Your dad didn't die there yet.
It's just bad storytelling.
Yeah.
It's things that don't need to be there, that are shoved down your throat, that are supposed to make it more interesting, but actually take away from the story.
Honestly, it feels like this was the rough draft and the other one was the finished script. Doesn't it?
Yeah. I'll buy that. I'll buy that.
Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I didn't really have anything anything of note there anyway. So I guess we could probably grade. Hold on. I forgot. All right. Where did my microphone go? Can you still hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. Why, what's going on?
Everything stopped. I can't hear anything now.
Well, that's strange.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck happened there.
All right.
I hit a wrong button and everything just stopped.
Oh.
All right. So Chris, do you recommend, and what is your grade? First for Last Shift, second for Melanoma.
Yep. Okay.
Metaluna.
A Malum. Yep.
Malum. Not a Malum. Malum.
Nope. It's not
right.
astigmatism. It's astigmatism.
Astigmatism.
So I got to start with something else too. I've been thinking recently that in the past, maybe I have been too hard on movies because I absolutely think that there are perfect songs out there. So there has to be perfect movies. So I've eased up on my curmudgeoniness. So with that said, I 100% recommend this. And I'm just going to give it's a straight A. This is in my top 10. The Void, this, Color Out of Space, Return of the Living Dead, Color Out of Space, that can be, we get different ones in here and there for that. But yeah, this one, I watched this twice in the last week because I enjoy it so much.
Wow, all right.
I really think it's what's her name that plays Jessica? She carries the whole thing and she is great. She is fantastic in that movie. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so Last Shift, I'm going to agree with you. One of the better, if not one of the best horror movies I've seen in quite a while. Incredibly effective, making the most of your dollar in this film with the effects that they do. Black Canary, she's fucking incredible in this. She does such a good job. She conveys, terror very well. She conveys her strength very well. And it's just superbly well done. I'm gonna give it an A-. I'm not gonna give it a straight A, but I'm gonna give it an A-. But it's excellent. It's excellent. All right, so Malum.
Okay, I'm gonna try and do this 2 different ways, but I'll do it fast. So, on its own, I would recommend it. It's not bad if you've never seen Last Shift, but if you're gonna watch this and Last Shift, you got to watch Last Shift first. I think that is a hard must do first. Okay. As a remake of Last Shift, I don't recommend it. But as a movie on its own, I'll give it a B-. Why not? As the remake of Last Shift, I gotta go D+.
Interesting.
As a remake. So it gets bumped up 2 if they change the title.
Okay. All right.
Or the connections, I mean. Yeah.
I will agree with you that if you have not seen Last Shift and this was not related to it and you did it was just a different movie, it's fine.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think it's thoroughly fine regardless. I don't think there's anything special about it. I don't think it does. I think it's a convoluted story. I think it doesn't make sense at points.
Yeah.
They rush through certain things. They bring up things that they never revisit. And it's just like it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when you start to kind of split the hairs. I didn't like the story with the father. I didn't like it was too much. It was too much.
I forgot one thing. Sorry to interrupt. There is a ridiculous made me giggle inside, oh really, is that what they're doing? Toward the end of the movie. And it's supposed to be scary as hell. And it just didn't work for me.
Okay.
At the end of Malum. Oh, it's when the dude's starfish face flew off.
Oh, that whole starfish face guy at the end, the big evil guy, demon guy.
Yeah, the low god.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah,
Stupid.
that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. I like the ambiguosity of it. But putting a face to the demon just kind of ruined it.
Stupid. On its own, it is all right. It's fine. But if you see Last Shift and then you're like, oh, there's a remake of it, and you watch it, it's almost insulting in a weird sort of way to a fan of the original to think that he did such a good job with the original and it was so good and so superbly done and well crafted to be like, hey, I made a better version of it.
Yeah.
And then you watch it and you're like, this is fucking garbage.
Yeah, she didn't need to be covered in blood from head to toe.
No.
At the end of the
movie. There were
movie.
so many things that didn't need to happen.
Yeah.
I am all for recreating your work and as we said earlier though, it doesn't always work and it usually doesn't work, but hey, you know what? For every Evil Dead 2, maybe there's a shot, but it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. He tries to blow the story up and he takes away the elements that were the most interesting parts of the original. I did not like the casting. I did not like the addition of the mother character being included. I did not like that you explained away the entire story. And then also the changes that you made to the story just ruined the effectiveness of it.
Yeah.
So I guess if I'm going to grade it the way you did it and say on its own, without any relation, it's a C at best. At best, probably a C-. In terms of a remake of Last Shift, it's a D-. It's you did no justice. If I watched Malum first and somebody was like, "Oh, it's a remake. You should watch the original," I'd be like, "Yeah, no, I think I'm all set."
Right, and you would miss out on something great.
Yeah, it does a disservice to the original. That's how inferior it is. And considering it costs 7 or 8 times what the original cost to make, he wasted all that money on stupid costumes and stupid demons and things that you just don't need.
Yeah. Yeah.
So D for, did you really need to do this?
Yep.
So, Anthony DiBlasi, I apologize.
No, you made a great movie 10 years ago.
And he's made stuff in between.
This one does look really nice. It really looks good.
I mean, it looks fine. It's
And
just like it doesn't.
I really like the change to the hooded cult members. How they had the like animal reflecting eye. If they had maybe played on that a little more, that they weren't human at that point, that would have been great. But it feels like J.J. Abrams syndrome of looking cool over story.
Style over substance.
That's not the way to go. The Enterprise
he
should never be underwater.
A lot of substance to it.
But
like
he took
thought
stuff. He took stuff away and added a rubber suit at the end.
Yeah, but he added the whole thing with the father being like the mother being a member of the cult and like.
Oh, that just pissed me off. It's
like he added all that stuff.
So fucking obvious. Like that's a cliche. Like an old cliche. Oh, your mother set you up with a blood curse. Why did I fucking watch this? Like, this is 70s all over again. Come on.
This is why I don't let you choose the movies.
No, come on. This averages out to a B-.
No, Last Shift is excellent. I highly, highly recommend Last Shift. Highly recommend it. So, all right, great. So we were kind of, we were kind of off last week, but I've got Joe ready to go and continue talking about the Ring series.
Yeah.
No, not The Grudge.
Well, hello, Bill. Hello, Chris. And hello, OTC Nation. It's your boy Joe here, and this week Bill took me to Japan by way of Chicago. I'll explain. Because he made me watch The Grudge, too.
No.
Well, goddamn.
Did I not get a new one from him?
I have no idea how I would know
He should
that.
be on The Grudge 3.
Is he? Didn't we
thought
just
so.
we just did the first one, right? Because he was talking about Sarah
the
Michelle
second one-
Gellar.
No, we definitely did the second one.
Oh.
Did he not send?
I don't fucking remember anything.
Hang on, let me close the app down. Joe sends me his friggin' segments on Facebook Messenger. Like,
Is he not using Hotmail anymore?
I don't know. May 28th. Did he send that? So hang on. Let me play this one.
Well, hello, Bill. Hello, Chris. And hello, OTC Nation. It's your boy Joe here, and this week Bill took me to Japan for an American remake of a Japanese film. Nice touch. He made me watch The Grudge.
All right, so that's the original one.
Mm-hmm.
Did he not? Hang on. I'm going to text him right now. Segment for part 3. Because we definitely did the second one, because I remember him saying like, oh, Chicago, and we'll explain it. And it's like the lady like, but he's not currently active, so I guess maybe we'll just skip Joe this week then.
Okay.
Unless he dives in. Everything is all screwed up with because we didn't do a show in the right time.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. All right, so we'll get back to Joe next week. I don't know what the hell's going on. Let me check and make sure he didn't send it to the other one here, because that could very easily have happened. Oh man, I'm tired. I'm tired. You tired?
If you start asking me how I'm doing, it's gonna take a little bit.
Okay, that's fair. Don't tell me then. All right, here's Scott.
I mean, I could. It's huge.
Before I begin, I wanted to say a little something about.
All right, let's just get into this.
Yeah.
I know we're on a time window today, so
fine.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
With Reverend Scott.
Strap in and feel the G's.
Hey there, Bill and Chris. This is Reverend Scott. And as you're listening to this right now, I'm already done with my vacation. However, because I wasn't about to fucking make this while I was on vacation, I'm talking to you from the past. 2 weeks ago to be exact. And I have to say, looking at your studio in the future, What the hell happened in there?
The place is wrecked.
Yes. Yes.
So anyway, since I have no idea what you reviewed last week because it hasn't happened yet, I thought I'd take some time this week to talk about a season of a show I watched recently that kind of shocked me. What shocked me the most is that it's the 3rd season of the show. And that's not because I just stumbled upon this show randomly. It's because I've actively avoided it up until now. That's right, I skipped season 1 and 2 on purpose and watched season 3 also on purpose. And now I want to tell you about it.
Fucking fine, you set the rules, let's go.
As you may or may not know, I spent my childhood years in the 1980s and 1990s. And on September 28th, 1987, a show came out that would occupy the last hour of the day that I was allowed to stay up before going to bed every night that it was on TV until 1994. And that show was Star Trek: The Next Generation. I fucking love that show. Sure, I saw a little of the original series, some of that original series cartoon, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and all the movies, but the only thing with the name Star Trek on it that really captivated me in a meaningful way was The Next Generation. So if you ask me that classic question of Kirk or Picard, it's not a difficult question for me. It's always Picard. Fight me.
I couldn't fight my way out of a paper bag if I needed to.
And while I loved all the characters, Data was my favorite by far, and Q was my favorite recurring villain. So you can only imagine my excitement when Patrick Stewart suddenly came out and announced that they were bringing him back for his own series on Paramount Plus called Picard. I didn't have Paramount Plus yet, but I was considering getting it just so I could watch that show. But before I did, I decided to watch the review of the first 2 episodes of Picard by a couple of guys on one of my favorite YouTube channels called Red Letter Media. And when I say that they were disappointed beyond all imagination, it would be an understatement. What started out as excitement and hope quickly turned into disheartening confusion. I tuned in every few weeks on YouTube to watch Mike and Rich review a few more episodes of Picard and gradually get more and more angry at how terrible the writing, the story, and just the general direction they were taking with the show. Just to give you an idea, basically in episode 1 you find out that Picard has died already, and his consciousness has been placed into a realistic positronic body that looks and sounds exactly like Picard and also continues to age. It left them and myself as well thinking,
what the fuck is this?
And it only got worse from there, with needless swearing and goofy new characters no one cared about, with extravagant, explosive starship battles that just looked like nonsense. So needless to say, I didn't watch season 1. And then season 2 of Picard came out, and it got extremely good and everybody loved it. Just kidding, it was more of the same.
God damn it.
Q was involved a little, but they were just trying to squeeze in odd social commentary that didn't fit, as well as more needless swearing and violence that just didn't seem to mesh with the whole vibe of anything Picard had ever been involved with before. So when season 3 came out, I was ready to hate it immediately. The first YouTube review of episodes 1 through 3 came out on Red Letter Media, and I watched, expecting the final frontier and dumpster fires, because this was the final season of Picard. What shocked me was when they had virtually nothing negative to say at all. In fact, they were impressed with the direction they were taking with the show. The next 2 reviews covered up until episode 7 of a 10-episode season, and they were still praising the show left and right. A few weeks later, their final review came out for the last 3 episodes, and they were just gushing about how much they loved this season, mainly because for the first time they allowed Picard's show to actually have a different writer. So before watching the final review, I shut it off, stole someone's Paramount Plus login info, and started up season 3, episode 1 of Picard, having never seen a single episode of their other previous seasons before. And let me tell you, they were fucking right about everything. Crusher was back, Will Riker, Picard, eventually Worf, and sooner than I knew it, they had found a way to naturally and gradually reassemble the entire Next Generation cast. And of course, I watched all the movies that involved the cast of the Next Generation show, but something was just not quite right. They never quite captured that same feeling and magic of the series. Not like Season 3 of Picard did. It had heart, excitement, characters with fleshed out backstories about where they've been the last few decades. And the best part was that everyone was given an opportunity to shine one last time in order to survive the encounter. I think it just really impressed me that they took the time to make this season feel like the Next Generation, not just a gimmick to throw some characters in that everybody remembers, but actually naturally work it into the story and have it make sense, which is always a plus.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
So, a day and a half later, I had finished the entire fucking season, and I was shocked at how good it was. I would stack it up against any previous Next Generation season. One of these days, I'm gonna watch it again. And if you've ever been a fan of Star Trek, or specifically the Next Generation, watch Picard. But do yourself a favor and just skip to Season 3 and thank me later. And also, I highly recommend that you watch the reviews of all the seasons on Red Letter Media's YouTube channel. They're the reason I even gave this show a chance at all. Wow, that was a lot of fucking talking. But hopefully this'll give some Next Generation fans out there some new good content to consume later on.
Well, that's good. That gives us a whole new avenue to look at.
Agreed.
So until next time, when we get more new good content to consume, peace and love, guys. Holy shit with Reverend Scott doing a long form review.
It was just fucking too long and stupid.
All right. All right. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. I don't know what we're doing next week. Probably have to choose the movies by like tomorrow at this point. Everything is so late, but head over to Facebook groups. You can join our Facebook group, talk about whatever you want that's related to any cinema or pop culture or whatever over there. Follow Chris and I on Instagram at OTCBill and at Cthulhu. Make sure you sign up over, sign up for the Patreon at patreon.com/outsideofcinema. Follow Dark Matters Films over at YouTube so you can see the premiere of The Woodsman on July 11th at 7 p.m. Be cool. I think that's it.
I think so.
Yeah. All right, cool. Everyone have a good week. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.